Have you ever thought to yourself something along the lines of like, man, I'm nothing special. I have nothing special to offer. Anyone can do what I do. And honestly, they could probably do it better. You know, maybe you're a parent who's been buried under like the logistics and the checklists of day-to-day life being a parent, wondering if your individual gifts even matter anymore. Or let's say you're an entrepreneur building a business that you feel like just is starting to look like everyone else's. Or you're an employee feeling like just another cog in the machine. Here's the truth, something I want you to understand, because this is the grounding force of everything that I like to teach people. Like, you are mathematically irreplaceable. No one has your exact mix of gifts, superpowers, experiences, perspectives. Like, no one has ever had that combination. No one has ever existed before, and no one will ever exist after you that has that exact same thing. So you are the only person designed to make the exact, like the perfect impact that you can make in the world, to create the type of value that you can create in the world. So stick with me, because like in this video, I want to show you like why your superpower is like a fingerprint, and how to finally see yourself as the only one who can make that very specific impact, give you very real strategies of how you can go about doing that. Now, like, I used to think that like my messy background, you know, failed business attempts or whatever, all sorts of fun career detours, you know, that weren't planned, financial setbacks, you know, emotional relationship issues, personal struggles that I carried. Like, I thought it was proof that I wasn't qualified to make impact in the ways that maybe I thought I could. Like, I thought the only way forward was to like, hey, I'm going to hide all that. I want to look like the people, you know, who seem like they've it all figured out. I want to just put on that show in that performance mode, which, trust me, is the wrong answer. Here's what I learned. The messy path, everything that happened to me in the middle, like, it was not a mistake. It was the training that I needed, like, to get to where I am today. Every detour, every failure, every curveball was building a toolkit only I could carry. You know, that's what I want to dive into today. This superpower you have is like the superpowers that you have are like a fingerprint. They're so unique. The only reason that you're the only person that can make that impact. So I want to dive into that. Of course, let me start by saying welcome to the Giver Method channel. If you're new here, my name is Jake, and I'm glad you're able to join me. Now, here's some questions I want to ask that hopefully ground this for you. Have you ever looked around and thought like, man, there are so many people doing what I do. What makes me special enough to stand out in this crowd? You know, or maybe like, you know, what I do doesn't really matter because someone else could do it probably better than me. Or like, I'm none of the face in the crowd, you know, with nothing unique to offer. If any of that hits close to home, if you feel that any of what I've talked about so far resonates with you, let me tell you something. You're not behind, you're not ordinary, and you're not replaceable. There's not someone out there who can do it better than you. What you're dealing with is this uniqueness, like blindness that's out there. You know, you're not being able to see that like it is mathematically impossible for anyone else having your exact mix of gifts, superpowers, experiences, and perspectives in the world. Like, I know because I've lived it. You know, once again, maybe you're a parent feeling like your identity is in the chaos of keeping family running, wondering like, man, did these gifts, these things that used to light me up, do they matter anymore? You know? Gosh, as an entrepreneur, thinking your business looks like somebody else's, you know, or competing on features or price because you don't see what makes you different, you know, or if you're working in a 9-to-5, you feel like your work's invisible, like anyone can step in and do what you do. Like, gosh, like the truth is like those like different or weird things about you aren't flaws. They're actually your secret weapon. They're the very things that make your impact one of a kind. And we have to be willing to put aside those, like, man, some of those things are slip-ups, negatives, things that aren't fun to talk about. But when you own them, my gosh, you can make such much more of an impact with that. And so we're going to dive deep into this today. Now, of course, everything we're going to cover today is grounded here in my book, The Giver Method. I'm Jake Talbert. I'm the founder and author of this book called The Giver Method. Came out last November. Since coming out, it's become an Amazon bestseller. I'm going to put a link down in the description where you can go get on Amazon, you know, The Giver Method, or pause the video, open your Amazon app, and go look up The Giver Method by Jake Talbert. Go get yourself a copy of the book. Right now, you can get it, I think the lowest you can get it for is like $1.99. I think upwards of like $10. Like, that's the best $2 you could invest in yourself. You know, it's designed for parents, entrepreneurs, people who are working away in that corporate world, who want to make an impact. You know, helping them discover their gifts and superpowers, create the impact and influence they want, create more value for those around them, have better relationships, more fulfillment in life, more delight, happiness. Like, the list goes on and on. People love it because my story is similar to yours. I'm a parent, I'm an entrepreneur, I've worked in that corporate atmosphere. So everything that we talk about, all the action items, exercises are grounded in the fact that I know that you can't just like drop everything, burn everything down and to start over. So I highly recommend you get yourself a copy. Like I said, link is down in the description. Now, I'll never forget, like, one of the times, like, there's these moments that just remind me of the truth of this topic. One of those was, like, it hit me when I was consulting. I was working with, he was an executive. He was a very burnt out executive, and he was trying to juggle all those pressures of work and also like family responsibilities. And as I shared strategies, like I pulled from my weird mix of my corporate background, years of doing comedy, my own experiences of feeling like stuck in the wrong life and putting on a fake identity of who I didn't want to be. And he just stopped me and he said, like, I've worked with other people before, but no one understood both like the business challenges and like the personal costs, like the way that you're describing them to me. And in those moments like that, it's when it hits me that I'm like, gosh, this random path that I've been on, like, wasn't random at all. It's created a different approach that I can bring when I'm consulting, coaching, working with people that no one else can replicate. Now, there's tons of data that backs this up. I love grounding the book and these videos in actual science. There's a ton out there that show that people who can articulate their unique value are 67% more likely to get promoted and 43% more likely to start businesses, because clarity builds trust. And when you get clear, you stop blending in and you start standing out. We're going to walk through these 5 different strategies that I think you could put into practice today. Once again, not to start over or burn everything down. And trust me, these are not like fluff talks or woo-woo or like just build you up motivation. They're very practical tools that you can use even in your busy schedule. And it's not about being arrogant in any way. Like, it's not about thinking that you're better than other people. It's just about recognizing that your exact combination of gifts and experiences have never existed before, and they will never exist again. It's that impact fingerprint that only you have, and the world needs it right now. There are people waiting for it. So once again, if you want to dive deeper, you can go to Amazon, get a copy of the book, The GIVER Method. It has tons of tools to help you with that sort of thing. Some people are like, man, I would love to get some one-on-one help with that sort of a thing. Check out the link below. Coaching program that we've opened up. We've got a couple slots that people could potentially get in for. So go check out the coaching page. If it makes sense, book a call. We can talk about what that would look like. Of course, if you have a podcast, host an event, have a community of people, a team, whatever, that this sort of a message you think could resonate with them, then check out the Speaking Podcasting link. Maybe book a time where it could make sense for us to bring it to your audience in a really real and practical way that create real impact for them. And of course, make sure that you hit subscribe, ring that bell for notifications, like the video. We want to make sure you don't miss out on any of the content that we put out. It really helps you start connecting on a deeper level with these things. And then leave a comment of anything that really starts to hit home for you. So let's now stop wasting any more time. Let's dive right in and start uncovering this fingerprint. Like, what's your superpowers fingerprint that makes you absolutely irreplaceable? And so the first one is all about finding the hidden places that prove you're irreplaceable. I call it turn your life into clues, that you could look to. Something that most people get totally backwards. When we see someone who's made it, they're doing it, our first instinct is to try and copy their path, right? Like, oh my gosh, this business person, Alex Hormozi, did this thing. Oh my gosh, that celebrity did this billionaire did. Hey, if I could just do what they did, maybe I'll end up where they are. But here's the real deal. The biggest advantage that you have isn't trying to become like them. It's owning the one-of-a-kind mix of your exact story. Nobody else has your wins, your setbacks, your random twists and turns along the way. That means nobody else has the toolkit that you've been building, sometimes even without even realizing it. I like to think that your life is like data that you can go into. Every high, every low, every plot twist has been training you to make the impact that only you can make. So here's a couple of exercises that you can do that are going to help you start to realize that and tap into that data. The first thing is make a couple of lists. We're going to make 3 lists, okay? So maybe grab a piece of paper, a journal, a note app, whatever. We're going to make 3 lists. The first one, write down your high points. The times that you felt alive, proud, you actually pulled something off. You were so engaged in it. Write out that list. Then what I want you to do is I want you to write out a list of your low points, the seasons that stretched you, that maybe even broke you down a little, that you can't believe you got out of, and maybe you're still in part of that season. It could be, but write those down. And then finally, I want you to write the third list, which is the unexpected turns. What are those surprise detours or career changes, moves, the curveballs that you never saw coming, but have had such a massive impact on your life? And then ask yourself, okay, for each of these, what did this teach me? Each line, everything you write, what did it teach me? What gift did this bring out in me? What wisdom did I walk away with that I wouldn't have if that wouldn't have happened? And that's where the magic really is, because it's not about just one gift. It's about the intersection of these overlapping experiences and how all sorts of gifts and superpowers you have are built into you. Every person has multiple gifts and superpowers to give to the world that only they can give in that unique way. Maybe you've always had a natural eye for solving problems, and then life threw you, like, a family crisis, and you had to step in and be a leader. Later, like, your own struggles with anxiety gave you like this deep well of empathy. You put those together, and suddenly, like, you're not just good at problem solving. You're a person who can solve tough problems under pressure while making people feel safe and understood. Holy crap, that's a lot. That's not generic. That's your fingerprint. Now, here's the part that I don't want you to miss. The messy chapters of your story, the ones that you'd rather skip past, maybe not talk about, are often the most powerful gifts, is where your most powerful gifts are forged. The career change that may have felt like a failure, built adaptability. The relationship struggle that almost took you out. Well, you probably grew a ton in emotional intelligence and boundaries. That business that challenge that maybe nearly crushed you gave you resilience and creativity, that you can't buy in a lesson or a textbook. The very struggles that made you question yourself are the proof that you're uniquely qualified to make the impact that only you can make. They're not disqualifiers because you've failed at something. They're like the receipts that you have that you've walked the path most people haven't. And now you carry wisdom and perspective and strength that others desperately need, and only you can give in the way that you can. So when you when you start seeing your journey like in that way, stop discrediting your past, and start realizing, like, my gosh, like, if I take a second and think about it, like, maybe the weird winding path and setbacks that I've taken is exactly what makes me irreplaceable. It changes everything for you. Now that takes us into our second strategy or area I want to talk about, like, why no one can duplicate you. Like, and think of it this way, like, you have a 1 in, I think it's 7.8 billion code. So think about that for a second. Like, one of the biggest lies that keeps capable people, gifted people stuck is the thought that, like, hey, there are thousands of people. There's so many people who could do what I do. I'm nothing special. They could probably do it better. Like, if you've ever caught yourself thinking that, I want you to, like, shake that lie loose from your thoughts right now. Because here's the truth. You are literally, mathematically irreplaceable. Like, not as some, like, cheesy pep talk or anything like that, but that is a true fact. Like, there is a Stanford did this research on this, that it shows the odds of two people having the exact same combination of personality traits, experiences, and natural gifts is 1 in 7.8 billion. Like, that means that there has never been and will never be another you. I mean, if you think about it, even if someone shares 1 or 2 gifts, they don't have the full stack. Even if they had similar challenges, they didn't process them the exact way you did. Even if they're serving the same audience, they aren't bringing your blend of wisdom, your scars, your humor, quirks, and strengths to the table. So here's the things I want you to try as a part of this. The first thing, jot down, like, what are your top 5 natural gifts, the things that feel easy to you, but maybe trip other people up. Maybe go ask other people what they believe it is. What would you send someone to me if they needed help? What would you send them to me for? Hey, what do you think is my thing that I just do better than others? Where have I shined that maybe I didn't realize I was doing such a great job? Like, ask questions, like, go and dive into that. After you jot down those like 5 strengths, those gifts, then, like, write like 5, like, really be formative experiences, the stuff that shaped you, even if it was messy. And then write down a few perspectives you hold that aren't common, like where maybe you live or you work or you hang out. And then pause and just picture this. Someone else having the exact same 15-piece code, just those 5 things, 3 times over, like, in the same order, shaped by the same twists and turns in life. Like, you already know the chances are 0. You're not competing with the crowd. You're not just another mom, just keeping the house running. You're not just another entrepreneur, in a crowded marketplace. You're not just another employee buried in the tasks anyone could do. You are the only person in your category of 1. Think about that. And when you, like, really get it, like, comparison stops making sense. Confidence stops being such a stretch. It becomes logical because, like, you're not asking, am I good enough compared to anyone? Like, you're not asking that anymore. You're asking yourself, like, who can I help with this exact combination that only I bring? Oh my gosh, if every person thought that way, it would be such a game changer. Who can I help? Who can I serve? The universe will pay you back when you answer that question and you find the people that you can help. Now that takes us into the third area, okay? There's, like, this sweet spot where your ordinary skills turn into those extraordinary superpowers, okay? Where do the gifts and all these experiences, like, where do they collide? Because people don't realize, like, your gifts don't work in isolation. Sure, like, you might say, like, hey, I'm good at organizing, or I'm really good at encouraging people. I can think strategically. I've got empathy. All those are powerful on their own, but your true superpower, the one that makes you stand out, lives where those things are intersecting. When your gifts collide, something entirely new gets created. And so if you think of it like music, a single instrument is like, it can sound beautiful, but when it's layering the instruments all together to create a sound that no one else can replicate, like, that's exactly what happens when you stack the gifts that you have. So here's how you can start finding those intersections. Take 3 of your strongest natural gifts, the ones we talked about before, the ones that energize you when you use them, the ones that, people consistently notice. Ask yourself, like, what happens when I combine these together? What becomes possible if I bring gift A and gift B together? What unique approach do I take when I naturally stack these abilities? Start to think of those different ways, like a couple of ideas, like, that could start to show up for you. Let's say that your gifts are empathy and system thinking and teaching. Like, on their own, once again, they're great. But when you stack them together, suddenly you're the exact person who can help the overwhelmed parent build family systems that not only work, but also respect the emotions of everyone in the house. Like, that's intersecting, like, empathy plus structure plus your ability to teach. Like, that's your distinct lane. That's oh my gosh, such a superpower. Maybe your gifts are humor or analytical thinking and patience. That you stack those together means that you can walk into a room full of really anxious employees and do something that no one else can do. You can lighten the tension. You can, like, calmly sort through the mess. You can help people solve the complex problems without spiraling. Once again, it's not just being funny or being patient. Like, this is your unique zone that only you can occupy. So stop thinking about your gifts in isolation. Like, they're great on their own, and when you can serve people that way, like, when you start stacking them, it just changes things. Like, instead of saying, hey, I'm good at problem solving, say, like, hey, I help people untangle complex challenges by blending these analytical thinking and emotional intelligence and, like, knack for seeing solutions that others overlook. Oh my goodness. Intersection language, it's what takes ordinary skills and turns them into extraordinary fingerprint of impact. Individual gifts, like, yeah, they can be common and they make you could feel like, oh, well, someone else could do that too. Tons of people are empathetic. Plenty of people are funny. Loads of people can analyze data, but the specific combination of those gifts you carry, that's what's so rare. That's what moves you out of the crowd and into your own category of one. And when you learn to identify and operate from those intersections, you stop trying to compete with people, who share maybe one of your abilities. You start living in the space that no one else can touch because of the value that you bring that's so uniquely you. And that takes us into the 4th area. So putting into words the value that only you bring. Like, so how do you claim your irreplaceable impact in a way that people can really understand? A lot of people, like, when they get stuck with this sort of a concept is, like, deep down that you've got something unique, but when someone asks you, like, so what do you do? Like, what makes you different? Anything like that, and you freeze. People oftentimes, like, there's the elevator pitch, like, how do you explain what you do or whatever? Like, we freeze. We either give a really generic answer, or worse, you try to be everything to everyone. And let me tell you, like, clarity, it beats charisma every single time. When you clearly say the exact type of impact that only you can make, people will lean in. They get it. The right people will think, like, hey, this is who I need. This is that irreplaceable impact statement that you want to think about. Think of it as a way of introducing, like, yourself, not just to what you do, but why you're the only one can do it in the way that you do. This is great for businesses, but it's also great as an individual. So it's a super simple framework. Here's how you follow it. Hey, because my unique combination of whatever gifts you have and whatever experiences you've had, I'm the only person who can, like, help this type of person, whatever that specific person is, with whatever their challenge is by, like, this approach that's so unique to me. And that may have been really broken up. So once again, it's hey, because of my unique combination of fill in the blank of gifts and your experiences, I'm the only person who can help your specific type of people that you can help. And it's with whatever their challenges are by your unique approach. So here's some examples, right? Because it still gets choppy there. One client of mine said, hey, because of my mix of corporate leadership experience and my personal journey with anxiety, I'm the only person who can help high-performing executives deal with, like, perfectionism by creating strategies that both protect their excellence and their mental health. One parent said, hey, because of my teaching background and my experience raising children with special needs, I'm the only person who can help overwhelmed parents navigate school systems by like translating the complicated rules into simple and actionable steps that they can go do. Do you see how that shifts everything? It's not you're not being boastful. It's not about trying to sound impressive. It's just about owning your fingerprint and saying like, hey, here's the lane that I was built to run in, and here's who I serve. And this matters so much because like it creates like specificity will always create more trust. When you can say it out loud in the exact way that your gifts and your story combine into value, people don't see you as one of many. They see you as the only one who can do it. And when that happens, you stop competing with like generic alternatives, and the people who need exactly what you bring will naturally just gravitate towards you. They'll bubble up out of the woodworks. So practice saying that impact statement, that irreplaceable impact statement. Say it until it feels so natural to you and confident. It isn't bragging, it is clarity, and clarity is magic. And that takes us to the fifth and final area. You have to build unshakable confidence from your real life proof of this. So how you collect this is all about collecting the receipts of the things that you're doing. Because the thing is, like, most of us doubt ourselves, not because of the lack of impact, but because we never stop to notice or record the proof of impact that we've already made. We forget compliments. We dismiss the times people sought us for help. We shrug off those like, only you could have done that moments as nothing. Oh, it's nothing. It's all good. Anyone could do this. Like, there's all sorts of ways that we shrug this stuff off. That's why imposter syndrome wins so many times out there, because we're fighting feelings like with no evidence. Now, here's your next move. Here's the thing. Start collecting those as like receipts. Put them into like a uniqueness file, nothing fancy. It could be a note on your phone, a notebook, a journal, whatever. Maybe something on your computer that you just like write things down, whatever works for you. And here's what goes in it. Anytime someone comes to you for help, jot down what they came to you for and why they came to you. Anytime someone says, hey, only you could have done this. Hey, you explain things in a way that no one else could. Like, I never thought of it that way until you said that. Like, write it down word for word. Don't water it down or judge what they say. Just write it down. Start tracking patterns in the compliments you receive. You'll notice people often use the same language to describe your impact. That repetition, that's a clue to your distinct value. And so don't forget, like, your intersecting moments at times where, like, your mix of gifts created results that no one else could have pulled off. Maybe your technical know-how plus empathy helped your team finally crack the problem that had stumped everyone else. Maybe your parenting wisdom plus business experience gave a friend the breakthrough they needed to make a tough decision. Whatever those intersections are, those are proofs. That's your fingerprint of your gifts and superpowers that actually changes things. And one more thing you could think about is take before and after snapshots. Write down what a situation looked like before you showed up. Then what it looked like after you added your perspective, your effort, your presence, your gifts to it. These snapshots remind you of the impact that you had, like when self-doubt, imposter syndrome, fear, anxiety starts to creep back in. And this is so powerful because confidence built on feelings, just feelings, is fragile. Confidence built on facts that your brain cannot overlook, that's unshakable. If you've got a record of your impact, imposter syndrome has to argue with those receipts. And guess what? The facts always win. This is how you move from hoping you're unique, to knowing that you're irreplaceable. Now, as we bring this all together, here's what I want. I want you to carry with you from all of the stuff we covered today. You're not just unique in some fluffy, feel-good, motivational way. You are mathematically irreplaceable. No one else on the planet has ever or ever will have your combination of gifts, superpowers, experiences, and perspectives. And that nagging feeling that someone else could easily replace you is not reality. That's just blindness to your uniqueness. And when you start seeing the truth, you recognize the one-of-a-kind fingerprint, everything shifts. You stop trying to compete with the thousands of other people and you realize, I am in a category of one. And if you think back to these things we walked through today, mining your life for these hidden patterns that make you who you are, recognizing the statistical impossibility, discovering those sweet spots where your gifts collide, collecting these receipts, and learning how to put it all into words. These aren't just little tricks to boost your confidence. They are a completely new way of seeing your place in the world, because when you stop apologizing for being different, you start celebrating the fact that different is exactly what makes you irreplaceable. That's when the game changes. That's when, gosh, let me tell you, that the world doesn't need a copy of somebody else. It needs your exact combination, your fingerprint, your story, your way of showing up. Now, if this hits home for you in any sort of way, you want to dive deeper, then that's where you want to grab a copy of the book, The Giver Method. It's on Amazon. The link's in the description. It will walk you through this whole framework of exactly how to discover and confidently share your gifts without burning out or second guessing yourself as a part of that. If you're craving more personal guidance as a part of that sort of a thing, then I've got a few one-on-one coaching spots open. So if you're tired of feeling like you're replaceable and you want someone to walk you down who's walked the same road as you to help you uncover and activate your superpowers, check out the coaching link. And if you have run an organization or a team or have a platform, a stage, a podcast, whatever, where this message would serve your people, let's talk. I love speaking to groups about this because when people realize they're irreplaceable, the entire culture starts to shift. But before you go, please make sure that you hit subscribe to the channel, tap that bell for notifications so you see what's coming next, like the video, and then drop a comment below. I read every single one of them. It tells me which of the things we talked about today, helped you see yourself in maybe a new light and gives you some direction on what you could go do to really start to own your uniqueness. Remember, you don't have to be the best at everything to make a difference. You just have to be the only one with your exact fingerprint. Your superpower is yours alone. Own it. Use it. Watch the impact that only you can make. The world is waiting for it. And I promise you that when you do that, the universe will always have a way of paying you back with all sorts of crazy opportunities, more delight and fulfillment in life, joy, all sorts of things. So start doing it. The life you want is on the other side of just starting to own these uniquenesses. And so with that, I'll just tell you to have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you in our next video. Have a good one.